And hello, everybody. It is Tom Chenault, and this chair right here is Adrian's. And either he is the invisible man or he is on assignment right next door doing what I don't do, which is work really hard. So he might not be able to shake loose, and that's okay with me because he's dead weight anyway. Don't tell him I said that, but we are rolling. And what a show we've got for you today. We've got the one and only Andrew Logan with us. I love this guy. He is a force to be reckoned with. He's a deep thinker. He could have done anything in his career to really, really be successful. And he chose this profession. And then he looked at it from 10,000 feet and said, you know, these people are making residual income, but they don't really know what to do with it. They really don't understand the tiger they've got hold of by the tail, and they've got to understand the whole deal. So he wrote this incredible book, and I'm going to put it up first and foremost, even though we'll put up websites the whole way. And it is epic, and you're going to love it. It is called The Residual Myth. 99% of network marketers fail. Here's how to beat those odds. And he proves that definitively in this book. But before we go there, next week we got Esther Wildenberg, and she and Sherry Tree have written that crazy bank deal, and they're all over the place, and they have the cards, and they've got a following that is gigantic, and it is beautiful. So they'll be on next week, but this week it is Andrew Logan, who has, by the way, the monster endorsements from Fraser Brooks, Rob Sperry, and Eric Worre. And I don't know that you could have a better three endorsers than those guys. So Andrew, how are you, my friend? What's happening in Australia, and what time is it?
Thanks for having me, Tom. It's Thursday morning, just after 7 a.m. Wednesday morning. Sorry, we're half a day ahead of you, but not that far ahead of you. So yes, it's spring here. It is a beautiful blue sky. I was out running the dog nice and early this morning. So yeah, full of energy. Great to be here chatting to you, and an absolute honor to be invited on as well, and share some thoughts, and hopefully we can help some people. Yeah, just really see this vehicle, as you say, see this vehicle for what it truly is, and how we can create more freedom, set more people free in this amazing industry.
And what's so cool is this profession. And I'm as old as the hills. Andrew's young. He's only 43 years old, and I'm 74. And last year I got in a car accident, and they just came with the insurance stuff. And they said, Tom, you got in a head-on collision, you almost died, which was true. You were in the hospital, which was true. Everybody was worried about you, which was maybe true. But what was so cool about it is now they filed the lawsuit against the insurance company, and they had me sign a document that said how much was my income affected by the fact that I was gone for a year. And here's a testament to how bad a network marketer I am. My check went up. I was out of the game, and my check went up because this profession is so much bigger than that monthly check. It is something that you build, and you build right, and you never stop working, but you can. And I love the fact that I was able to take, I faked like I was working a lot, talk to the leaders, but I certainly wasn't the man that I was before I got in the wreck. But the profession, the structure, everything else carried the day. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because I want you guys to take this business like no shit seriously. And if Adrian was on here, he would have stabbed me with a fork right then. So that's good news, because you're not supposed to cuss, but I will. This is the real deal.
I'm Australian, so sometimes
yeah, you cuss too.
Words.
Yeah, so don't be afraid to fire one out once in a while. It's the lazy man's way to communicate. But here is the deal. Go buy this book. Andrew, why in the world first of all, you made millions of dollars in the profession. You really didn't need to write the book. Why the heck did you do it?
Well, that's a really good question, and it comes back to I was thinking when you were talking about your car accident, and thank God you're all safe and no damage done. My background is medical professional, so you obviously see a lot of that in my old life. But we made a lot of money in network marketing, and we did a lot of things, and we can expand on that more. But directly to your question. Two sort of things happened, and one of them was that our great friend Fraser Brooks was here in Australia. many years ago doing his first ever event. And I always want to make this point because Fraser's such a phenomenon these days. His first event in Australia, he was checking people in at the door. He was doing his own AV. He was interviewing every single person on stage. He emceed his own event, and absolutely, like, it was just him. There was no Fraser Brooks that we know now, and he was just grinding. And we had actually met the year before whilst Angie and I were taking the kids around the UK and Europe for 3 months. And we'd actually connected through social media and had lunch together and spent some time together and really made a great friendship. Anyway, he was staying at our house and he had one other person speaking at this event and everything else was him. And then this person, 48 hours before the event, said, "Oh, actually, I'm not coming. You're not big enough," kind of thing. Whoa. And I remember Fraser, we're in the kitchen when he's got the phone call and he's just sort of gone white. And he turned to me and he said, "Could you speak at my event with 48 hours notice on generic anything? And, a couple of hours worth of training, I'll give you 48 hours notice." And I said, "Yeah, I can do that." And he said, "Whatever it is, it just needs to be generic." I said, "Not a problem." And I trained financial mindset at his event. And the reason I could do it, with such short notice was because we trained our team in financial mindset from day one. Here's how you build a business, but here's how you create a legacy. I love John Maxwell, and John Maxwell teaches, don't just teach people how to run a better business, help them run a better life. Yeah. And I always took that as, okay, I'm going to help you make money, and now I'm going to show you what to do with that money. So I trained money mindset to this room. There was about 100 people at this event. And there were people who had been in the industry for decades and said, "You know what, I've never actually taken stock of the money I'm making and what I'm supposed to do with it and how to actually leverage it into a legacy." So that was sort of the first start of it. And Fraser and I, he was like, "You really need to pursue this. You really need to look at this." Actually writing the book was because we bought our dream home thanks to this industry. And a little while ago, we had a pipe in the kitchen burst and our whole downstairs got flooded. And so the insurance, thankfully, it was all covered insurance, but we had to move out of the house and it took 8-9 months for them to rebuild the whole downstairs. And
as you're saying, your dream home and you had a pipe break in a brand new dream home?
Yes. Yeah.
That's impossible.
Hard, and there's a whole other side of that story, but it was obviously shattering, and you're dealing with insurance, you're dealing with builders, you're dealing with flooring people, and everything. And so essentially we're living, and we had to sort of move around all these Airbnbs while they kept sort of shuffling us around. And anyway, eventually there was sort of this thing of like, well, here you are, maybe this is a sign to take on a new project. And our business was taking care of itself. Our leaders were running the show. And I needed something to distract myself. I needed something to take on a new challenge. And so I thought, well, Fraser had been in my ear and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, you know what? I think there's an area in this industry that's not being taught well enough, or I think that I can offer some value in it. And so I sat down and wrote my first book, and then the Residual Myth is the follow-up to that, is the second book.
And you're having a blast with it. You're getting it out into the generic mainstream, and it can be trained in any company. Sarah Robbins, we had her on the show, and then we had her also in several groups, and it was because it was such amazing content, and we would consider it an honor to have you also do a live cast inside of the ANMP group, which is the Association of Network Marketing Professionals group. And I think Lisa Grossman is doing a whole bunch of interviews, and she's strong. And if she does, if she's too important for it, I'll do it. She won't be too important. That was a joke. So anyway, this will be exciting.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head before when you talked about, there's unsuccessful people can sit there and say, "Tom, you're already making enough money, just retire." And you're saying, well, no, I love what I do. And because I love what I do, it's not work. It's a passion. It's something that drives me. And so you're out there doing it. And that's why you've had this great success. And that's why your business continues to grow. And a lot of people sort of said to me, like, why are you writing a book? What's the point? Just take your money and run, kind of stuff. And it's like, well, no, there's the next challenge. And part of having financial freedom is having more choice, is having more security, is being able to sit there and say, you know what, actually the bills are taken care of, our children are happy, we've got this beautiful home that's been repaired, and let's take on the next challenge, let's take on the next thing, and let's see if we can make a bigger impact. So yeah, that's where we are now.
What's so funny is you have Rob Sperry. So we're sitting here talking, and Adrian does everything. I do nothing. So I'm supposed to be sharing all this on all these walls, like Rob Sperry's wall, and on and on the ANMP wall, and everything that's coming out of my mouth is reminding me of something I haven't done. So those of you that don't think I am paying attention by looking down, please don't believe that. I'm just chasing my tail because I'm old and I'm like senile, and Adrian would do this right, but he's not here. He's too busy. So we got Andrew and me. And so if you've got any complaints, direct them at Adrian. It's not my fault. So back to it.
You don't have to be perfect to be successful in this industry either, do you? We're imperfectly perfect.
That's correct. What about your financial background then? So what gave you the right or the experience to teach what you're teaching here? Because nothing is better than education tied to experience, tied to wisdom. So talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So we were touching on this just as we were connecting before going live. So I grew up in a very traditional household, traditional mindset, go to school, get good grades. And, my parents sacrificed everything to put my brother and I through good private schools and make sure we had that education. And, that was the mindset back then again as well. I was born in 1982. So that was the 80s and 90s. And this is pre-internet, and anyway, an opportunity presented when I was in grade 12, 1999, to spend a year living and working in Scotland, in kind of the middle of nowhere in central Scotland. And I took it. And it was the first sort of light bulb little moment in my life of actually, maybe there is more to life than just university and a degree and all those sorts of things. And this first little itch at the back of my brain. And the problem was I didn't know what else to do. It's like, well, surely there's more out there. I just don't know what they are. I just don't know what these other paths are and these other options. So I came back from this year of traveling and went around Europe and the UK and went to university because I didn't really know what else I wanted to do. And I was doing physiotherapy. And to me as well, that was, well, you can travel the world, you can get a job with sporting teams and you can see the world. And I did manage to do that as well. I worked with different teams around the world, but there was always this, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a different way. And so as soon as I left university, I was earning a really good income and I was single, living, very simple life because I knew, like, take care of the money you're earning and don't just upgrade the car straight away. Don't just upgrade your living. Don't just upgrade your lifestyle. Figure out what you're doing with your money before you put any of it into other things. I did, just side note, I did break my thumb playing footy as well. And being a physical therapist and having a broken thumb don't they're not a great match. And so again, it was like your income could change like that. Like we're just you're a 6-figure earner. That doesn't mean anything if you break your thumb. So I started down this path of trying to find other ways to make money. And I started reading the classics of Robert Kiyosaki and Think and Grow Rich and T. Harv Eker. And, you're reading all these classics and it's like, okay, there's freedom, but what's the vehicle? How do I actually drive myself to freedom? I understand this whole thing of passive income and wealth, and I get it. I just don't have the vehicle. And I tried all these other vehicles. I tried all these other things and failed pretty much across the board. But along the way, I started my own practice and I was earning good money and I was starting to get into property investing and then network marketing came into our life. And it came in just because I was trying to lose weight for our wedding. But at that point, I had 3 or 4 investment properties and a traditional business by this point. So I was actively living that life and actively going down the path. And Angie, my wife, she had a similar mindset, and she had 2 investment properties when we met. So
Wow.
we got married and suddenly had 6. And then so we came into this network marketing vehicle and like, hang on, this isn't a business. I talk about this a lot at the start of the book, that we love to say, you know, my business, and I've got this home-based business. Businesses suck. No one wants a business. Businesses are stressful. Businesses are hard work. They're, you know, but you have a cash flow producing vehicle. That's what you have.
Yeah.
You have, for $500 generally, you can come in and start making $1,000 next week. And tell me anywhere else in the world that you could start something for $500 and have the potential to be earning $1,000 like straight off the back of it.
Right.
And that is leverage. That is cash flow. And so once that, all these 10 years or so of experience all sort of started to fall into place. And I was like, hang on, Michelle makes a great point in the comments. We should treat this like a business. We should show up every day. We should learn the skills. We should read the books. We should show up like $1 million business. But financially, this is a cash flow producing asset. And if I can get that cash flow higher and higher and higher, I can use it to buy other cash flow producing assets, like investment properties, like a stock portfolio. And so the thing that I'm really proud about is we have earned multiple 7 figures across our 13 years so far. We've made that much again and more through our investments.
Sure.
You know, so we have doubled and again the money that we've made in network marketing. And so we've got property portfolio, we've got stock portfolio, we've got, you know, a couple of other things as well. And so we're getting to enjoy this financially free life, but we've also got multiple 7 figures worth of investments, potentially 8 by these days, that can be left for the children as well. And so I guess the short answer is because I've lived it. You know, what am I teaching people? I'm teaching people what I have lived for the last 20 years. Network marketing has been 13 of those 20 years, but I've been investing and developing my money mindset and all those things for the last 20 years.
Would you say that you're trying to duplicate that with not only your business partners, but with your family?
Oh, 100%. You know,
where is your daughter right this minute?
So our daughter right this minute is in central Scotland.
Doing what? Where's she at that her dad might have been?
She's in the exact same school that I was at 25 years ago, doing
That's
the exact
duplication.
same. So she's living in a school, and you live there, and you're you know, very cheap labor essentially in the school. Sure. And you help out in the classrooms, and you help out at night with the kids and all those sorts of stuff. And she's traveling around. She's just come back from a weekend in Amsterdam. She was in Barcelona. She did 3 weeks around sort of Southern Europe over summer. And funnily enough, Tom, there are teachers still working at the school today who were there 25 years ago when I got there. And in fact, maybe I shouldn't be proud of this story, but I flew over there with her in January to help just get her set up. And I hung around for a few days once she started work and made sure she was all fine before I flew home. And we were having dinner on the first night. And the headmaster of the school said, "Does anyone remember Andrew Logan?" And Richard, the history teacher, burst out laughing and said, "How can we forget that guy?"
Wow.
And, they're like, "Well, this is his daughter." And so, you know, here she was. And so my daughter was like, "What did you do that they still remember you 25 years ago?" I said, "Oh, well, might have been young and 18 and done 1 or 2 things in my life." But yeah, so she's, as you say, duplicating that. And she's now living her own life. She's experiencing Europe. She's growing herself. She's finding her own place in the world. So we're really excited for her.
One thing that maybe they're going to like you a little bit better when you donate a library to the place. So that'll be awesome. But, you know, there's a lot going on in the United States and a lot of chatter around the value of education and the difference between education and a college education. Mm-hmm. And I think it's critically important that children whether it be in college or whether it be in life, that they get that education that you're talking about. And if they can get it at college, because that's where they learn, that's wonderful. If they can get it in the school of hard knocks, that's wonderful. But whatever it is, it's so important to learn and contribute. And what I love about network marketing is it's such a level playing field. You know, you talked about putting up $500, having the ability to turn that into instant income versus a franchise or worse in the form of funding a business. But you still have that same chance to play it so big. And the most important thing about that conversation is understanding that you're building a business. And this book is going to give you the ability to realize how big what you have invested your $500 really is. And here I am again at the end of the rainbow, probably. I don't know how many years I have left, but they talk about 74-year-old people like they're, going out to pasture. And most 70-year-old people I know don't have the money to go out to pasture. And it is so sad. And what I love about what I do for a living is I can help a 70-year-old person that's in that position. And I can also help a 20-year-old person in that position. And the only common denominator that has to happen out of that is desire and willingness to learn. Right, Andrew?
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Like, I always like to say that the best network marketer is 50% student, 50% teacher.
Yeah.
And growing and developing. And 13 years now, I can still learn from you. We can still come off this conversation and say, not only have I learned from your wisdom, but hopefully people listening have learned something as well. And we're constantly growing and developing ourselves. Our college setup is a little bit different to yours, but certainly at college I learned a lot of things that I don't want to do anymore. I have no desire to do them professionally anymore, but I still learned certain things. And funnily enough, my network marketing sponsor was actually a staff member of mine, someone I employed. So
Wow.
I always sort of think, had I not gone to university, I wouldn't have ended up with a practice and then employed this person, and the universe wouldn't have all fallen into place as it did. But it's for our daughter. I think for her, she's not, she's just not someone who wants to go to university. And part of this whole trip for her is, well, what do you want to do, darling? And she said, I don't know. It's like, well, go and see the world then. Go and actually get life experience, because at the end of the day, if you are going for an employment and you've got one person with a degree and one person with life experience, I'm taking that person with life experience all day.
No doubt.
Yeah, all day, 100 times. And physiotherapy is not an easy degree to pass, but some of the people I worked with didn't know one guy didn't know you had to put chicken in the fridge. So you can, side note, but we employed this guy and he didn't put chicken in the fridge day one, had to go home sick that afternoon. So you can finish a college degree and not know how to put chicken in a fridge. So I think, as you say, life experience and actually living it and breathing it every day is what really matters in this world.
There's a guy listening to the show. His name was just on the board. His name's Orrin Checkmate Hudson. And he was a big time car dealer. And somebody walked in with a gun and shot 7 people. And he made a decision that day that he was going to end gun violence in his community. And he's gone on from there to teach 100,000 kids to think via teaching them to play chess. But what I love about him and about you is you are teaching people to think, not getting the thinking done for them. And it is hard knocks, and it is that type of thing. Your book talks about the 4 pillars. Would you talk about that a little bit, the 4 stages of financial freedom? Because I don't think people can actually distinguish what you're talking about without you actually verbalizing it. And it is critically important.
So this is where all the tumblers all fell into place in my mind. So, going through those early days and reading a lot of books, I think, like most of us, I started with Robert Kiyosaki, was where I started, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then his second book, The Cash Flow Quadrant, was the real aha moment for me. And he talks about this, this quadrant, and you have an employee, a self-employed small business owner, and then you have a big business owner and an investor. And all the wealthy people are over here on this side of the quadrant. And these people are selling their time for money. And these people are, in big business, they're in franchise and they're selling ideas, or they're selling systems, or they're investing. And so I spent a lot of my early days like, well, how do I get over here? And I'm working and I'm earning six figures. And then I went into small business and I went into a practice, and, just jumping off what we were saying before, to start my physiotherapy practice, I had to get a significant loan. I had to get my parents actually to put a second mortgage against their house at the time as security. And everyone told me, like, well done, that what a great idea. And I was sleeping on the floor there some nights. I was sleeping on physio beds, and I worked my absolute butt off for that. And then you start network marketing for $500 and you make $1,000 the next month. And everyone's like, well, $1,000, look what you're making over here. And I'm like, yeah, but I had to mortgage my parents' house to make that. I spent $500 here and look what I'm already making. Anyway, when I started in network marketing, it's when this quadrant sort of started to make more sense, that it's not really, Robert talks about, employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. What it actually is it's an active income, it's a leveraged income, it's a residual income, and it's a passive income. And that's when like it all sort of fell into place for me of like, hang on, it's not that I need to be a business owner. It's not that I need to self-employ myself in network marketing. It's I need to figure out how to make more leverage. And we do that through systems, through scripts and tools. I need to build leaders to create residual income. So what I like to teach essentially, that 4-step process is taking you through the quadrant. So step 1, active income, we need to learn how to sell. Now, employees sell their time for money. In network marketing, we sell a product, a service, an opportunity. We present to people, we network and we market, and we invite people to have a look at what we do, and we run a sales process, and we have to learn how to do that. You have to learn, in social media days, how to attract people and market to them. And by doing that, you create an active income. So that's step 1. Step 2 then is what we like to call duplication, but it's really about creating leverage. So as a small business owner, traditional small business owner, I had staff. I could see 20 patients a day. If I had 5 staff members, we could see 100 patients a day. That's leverage. So in network marketing, we create leverage through scripts, systems, tools, templates. Tom, you've joined the team. Great to have you on board. Here's a script to help you go out and share your story. Here's a system to take people through. Oh, you've got an objection. Not a problem. Here's some templates on how to overcome those objections. So we help people create leverage through duplication. Now, a lot of people get stuck here because leverage is really exciting. And I like to say, if network marketing was a car, leverage is the engine. And you can put this huge engine in the car, and you can put your foot down and really accelerate this thing. And a lot of people get really excited by leverage. But the key to freedom is teaching other people how to drive the car. Because if you're the only person behind the wheel, it doesn't matter how powerful that engine is, you always have to stay behind the wheel. You always have to be the one that's running the Zoom calls, that's running the trainings, that's updating the systems, that's organizing the events. So true residual income comes from teaching other people how to build their own business. And as you said before, leverage is showing people what to do. Residual is showing them how to do it.
Correct.
Tom, I want you to take care of your own team. Where you build your business your way. Don't follow me, follow the process, but you need to go off and build it in your own way. And that's, for a lot of people, we can get a little bit caught there because, no, this is my system and this is our team and this is incredible. But no, Tom needs to go run the team his way, in his own voice, in his own life, with his own passions. And we stay together and we work side by side, but it's like it's helping more people drive the car. So then you can sit in the back and have a little nap. And, when our house is being rebuilt and totally torn apart and then being rebuilt, someone else was driving the car while we were having a little nap in the back. So step 3, residual income, is actually teaching people how to not need you, how to run their own business. We teach people to sell. We create systems to duplicate that sales. Then we teach people how to run their own sales team. And then the most important part is step 4, which is actually creating wealth outside of network marketing. So understanding what assets are, understanding how to invest, understanding the risks, building your money mindset, all those sorts of things, and putting your money to work. Because you know what the problem with humans is, Tom? There's a few. One of the problems with humans is that we need to sleep. We need days off. We can't work 24/7, but your money can. Your money doesn't need annual leave. Your money doesn't need sick leave. Your money doesn't need 8 hours sleep a night. So you put your money to work and it comes home with more money. And then, this is really cool, you can send that money off to work.
Right.
And you send your money off to work and it comes home with more money. And then you send that money off to work and it comes home with more money. And you get what Einstein says is the 8th wonder in the world, is you get compound interest. Right. And your money is off making money, which is making more money. And so, for us and our vision is that I can't stop making money. It's because our money is off making money, and I can't stop it.
That's exciting.
It's
here's
so
the deal about it. Yeah. Do you know who Garrett McGrath is?
I don't. So
that's exciting. So please, somebody grab that tape, because it's very exciting to me that somebody doesn't know who he is. Garrett is the head of the Association of Network Marketing Professionals, and he is this Irish guy with the best accent. And he was making money hand over fist forever, but his formula was divide by 30. And what that meant was he'd get his check and he would divide it by 30 every month to see how much he could spend per day. And even though that's preposterous, that's the way he ran his life forever. And that's kind of like a lot of people run their life, not only in network marketing, but in all life. They haven't got a plan. They're getting rid of it like it's going out of style, thinking there's no tomorrow. And there always is a tomorrow. And I'm really adamant. I think that we need so much more of this. There's a guy out there named Jeff Weisberg who is completely obsessed with, he was an old Herbalife guy for the last 50 years. And his story is the same as Andrew's. We've got to teach people not only to make money, but to hang on to it. And that's what you're obsessed with. And as I understand it, you're willing to talk to various groups like the ANMP, or even inside of a company like Sarah Robbins did, generically, and with no risk of getting cross-recruited or anything like that, just teaching people this. You'd be willing to do it if they just agree to buy some books and read some books. And especially when you go to his website, you're going to see the deal he's got that is so ridiculous for you to own this book that it would be insane for you not to own it today. This thing is an absolute gift from God for no money. So buy it. Okay, go ahead.
Well, thank you. I got to say thank you there. As you say, there's a lot of negativity out there about our industry, let's be honest. And certainly more and more, I think we're more and more accepted. And as social media and everything evolves, people are, and all the dramas of sort of 5 years ago, and people working from home, and people are a lot more open to other ways to create income these days. However, there's still a lot of negativity out there. And to me, my real passion is that if we're going to be financially free with me and come join network marketing and enjoy financial freedom, we have to tell the whole story. And too many people only tell part A of the story, which is, I'm going to show you how to make money. Part B of the story is, now I'm going to show you how to turn that money into freedom. So yeah, my passion, what gets me out of bed each morning is the dog. And then the other thing that gets me out of bed each morning is like, well, how do we help more people actually understand the money they're making and how to turn that into freedom? Because by doing that, we can set more people free, and we can change the way people see this industry. Because it's not like, oh, that's just a get rich quick scheme. It's like, here's a great way to create cash flow and then put that cash flow to work to completely change your life. Angie and I started this, as I said, I started just to lose weight. But even when we saw the financial side of things, at the time, it was like, can we just make enough for Angie to come home? Can we just make enough to invest a little bit more heavily and a little bit faster? And then we grew from there and we developed from there. It's like, actually, no, we've brought Angie home. She can be at home now and be that mum she's always wanted to be. Maybe I can go and I can come home and we can start investing more in it. It all developed from there. But the goal was just, how do we use this vehicle to create freedom? And so what I love to talk about, and anytime anyone wants me, it's like, well, I'll show you how to drive the car, but more importantly, I'll show you the roads to take, because that's where a lot of people go wrong. They get in this car and they put the big engine in and they're flying down the highway, but they don't actually know which roads to take.
Yeah.
And they get into a crash, or they spin out, or they, things go wrong. But you made the point before about, being disciplined and that with your money. And I think a lot of people can see discipline as a negative, but the most disciplined people, the biggest paradox is the most disciplined people are the ones that enjoy the most freedom. I used to work for the Australian Olympic ski team. They were more disciplined than the people who just go for a ski on the weekend. So they also got to travel the world and enjoy this life of competing and doing all that kind of stuff. The most disciplined people financially are the ones who become the most financially free. And most people don't have any kind of budget or plan for the money they're making. And so someone else comes along and says, well, let me take it off you.
Yeah. And take it seriously. And if you do that, you're not going to be buying stupid stuff all the time. You're going to be putting your money to work, where at the end of the day, you've got a way for you to have a life that is absolutely better than anybody else's. You are modeling right behavior for your children and your grandchildren, where they see actual mom and dad working. They see mom and dad working smart, not hard. And they see mom and dad being great stewards of the dough. And it trickles all the way through the whole family, versus this consumerism obsession of having everything, which is just insanity. And, Robert Kiyosaki's a good buddy of mine and the show. We talk to him all the time, and it really, really warms my heart that he's kind of a foundation for what you do. And then you take Rob Sperry, Fraser Brooks, Eric Worre as other foundations of the way that you're doing things. I don't think you can miss. And I just want to thank you for coming on the show. I'm sorry Adrian couldn't make it. I'm proud Adrian couldn't, because it means he's working hard. But at the end of the day, this is a book you need to own. You need to own it. And I think Andrew will be good to his word. I promoted somebody on the show here a while back, and it turns out that it was kind of a scam, because they wanted to sell the books a lot more than they wanted to help people. And it has me continually irritated. And I've started paying a whole lot more attention as to whose book I'm getting up here, because it's not about selling the book. It's about teaching people to read it. And what Andrew's doing is teaching you with his feet to read this book and learn this book. So please learn the 4-step system. Please go to andrewlogan.net and please believe in what he's talking about. And if you get a chance, go visit him. I went to England and I spoke for Fraser, and I'm still thawing out. And then I went down to Australia and spoke for Fraser and Rob, and it was like lobsters for everybody. It was warm. It was beautiful. So if you have a choice, go see Andrew. It is unbelievable in Australia, the entire country, which is gigantic, and you will learn a lot and it will change your life. So Andrew, thanks a million for coming on the show. We really appreciate you.
Absolute honor. Yeah. And yes, love what you're doing. And as you said, it's to be here still so full of passion, so full of life. It shows what this industry can do. And it really shows that, we talk about personal development in this industry. And I think for some people, it's like, oh, well, I'm going to walk across hot coals and feel really good about myself. No, personal development is, how do I make a bigger impact? How do I help more people? And so, You know, you could be retiring, you could be enjoying life, but you want to help more people. You want to do more for this industry. And so it's great to be mentored and led and inspired by people like you.
Well, I love you. I love you all. I love your whole circle. Your book is extraordinary. We will be training it. I'm going to call you about doing for the ANMP and a couple of other places. But man, you're the man. I love you, Andrew. Esther Wildenberg next week, the half a Sherry
awesome.
Tree Bank thing.
He's
You'll
awesome.
like that show. All right, man. Bye-bye. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.